Welcome, and thanks for coming to Product Talks today. My name is Mac Ehrhardt. I'm chairman of Albert Lee Seed, and I'm joined by Jake Hansen, our product manager. And this is a series of talks we've been doing about sections of our products for both Blue River and Viking corn and soybeans. And in this talk, we are going to talk about Viking conventional non-GMO soybeans from a 1.9 on up through about a 2.8. And the one we're going to start out with, I should take a step back and say on the screen displayed in front of us is the Viking catalog. And we're looking at this live on our website, and you can go to the website and open it up and flip through the pages. If you would like a hard copy, if you don't already have one, please call us up or go to our website and order a copy, and we'll happily mail you one. So to kick off today, we're going to start talking about a bean that is labeled a 1.9 in our catalog, but actually, in my opinion, is more like a 2.0 or a 2.1, and that is IAS 19C3. That numbering you might notice is not aligned with the rest of the Viking numbering system, and that's because we left the Iowa State number on this soybean. It's a designation that they came up with, which we don't totally agree with because we don't think it's a 1.9. We think it's later than that. But we left their number on there because it makes it easier for food companies to identify this soybean. Because in fact, this variety has very good food grade potential. It's a yellow hilum, typically has higher than 41% protein. It's very high yielding. It also fills up the row really nicely and is very well adapted across northern Iowa and across the southern part of Wisconsin and northern part of Illinois. And I'm going to let Jake talk about it a little bit more because he's seen more of it than I have.
Sure. So this 19C3 overall exceptionally good health compared to some earlier Iowa State lines around it that preceded it. It does have slightly less protein than those, but I think it's still going to hit a lot of food grade requirements. But excellent standing. This thing looks healthy all season long. Very, very attractive bean going into the fall.
Only other thing I'll add about it is, since it is an Iowa State variety, it does require a license before you plant it, and that's referenced on the bottom of the page. And if you have any questions about that licensing requirement, I'd be happy to take your call, or we'd be happy to take your call and send you the link in order for you or your customer to get licensed. With that, let's move on to the next bean, which is a true 2.0. And Jake, I'll let you talk about that one.
Yeah, so the Viking 2022, like Max said, is a 2.0. This is its third year now in the Viking lineup. This is a direct replacement for the old 2018, for those of you that remember that bean, which was a long-standing bean. This one brought considerably more yield to the table, more consistently across locations. And it's also kind of a next step up in your disease tolerances, things like white mold, sudden death. IDC. I am starting to see a lot of sudden death popping up this year with all those early rains we had. This bean is one that is still looking to stay pretty healthy, clean, free of all those necrosis of those leaves. So very, very happy with how this one looks. And like I said, the yield comes with that disease tolerance, comes with that plant health. It really likes to pump out a lot of beans, even in the drought years of 22 and 23. They didn't have any problem filling up those top pods and making sure you were filling up your combine.
Thanks, Jake. The next one is Viking 2155, which has been probably our best-selling conventional soybean for a number of years now. Jake, I'll let you talk about this one as well.
Yeah, so one thing I will say about this one, we call it a 2.1, but kind of like that 19C3, I think we're a little off on that. It does act more like a 2.3 bean. It's one I say it flexes its maturity, because I've seen it here in Minnesota, north of me, and it acted like a 2.0, and I've seen it down in central Iowa where it looks like a 2.5. So it does flex its maturity based on its environment a little bit. But like Max said, it's one of our top sellers for a reason, and that main reason is yield. It loves to put on beans. We've had tremendous success east to west, north to south with this variety. Always been happy with it. no real watch outs on it other than the maturity thing, like I said. But beyond that, this one's been a really tough one to get around as far as replacing or finding something that can take it on.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. I think that pretty much sums it up. We'll flip to the next page and keep rolling with a new bean called 23B5.
Yep, this is a brand new 2.3. It's going to replace the 2340 KN, which had great success. Biggest feature on this particular bean is the peaking cyst resistance. So I know there's the old stipulation that the peaking brought with it a lot of yield drag. I think the 2340s kind of blew that out of the water, and this one does it even better. So the 23B5 brings a lot of yield to the table again over that 2340. But the other main feature about this bean that really spoke to us is that stress tolerance. It really handled the disease, the drought stress, the heat stress of the past couple of years very, very well. And then on the structure of the bean, taller, medium bush plant, fills a row super easily. But I really like that stress tolerance, moving it west into the Dakotas or northern Nebraska very, very easily.
Thanks, Jake. I'll grab the next one. So the next one is a 2.4 food type soybean called E24Y002. You'll notice that that number on that bean does not match the Viking numbering system. That's because we left the originator number on there to make it easier for you and for food companies to know what the soybean is. It comes directly out of the Benson Hill program, what was originally the Schillinger program with Emerge Genetics. Now it's owned by Benson Hill. This is a high protein yellow hilum bean with pretty good seed size, typically over 41% protein. In our minds, this is a direct replacement for the old Viking 2188, which was a very popular bean of ours that didn't stand very well and had no disease resistance. This bean stands much, much better, and it brings better agronomics. It's got the K gene for Phytophthora tolerance. It's also got cyst nematode tolerance. It also has RAG1 resistance to aphids. So better all around insect and disease tolerance, better yields than 2188, better protein than 2188. And in our minds, there's really no reason not to prefer this soybean over 2188. However, the tail that wags the dog in this situation are the food companies. And so if the food companies decide that they still want 2188, you'll have to find a source for that, as we no longer carry it conventionally. Hopefully, at this point, since this bean has been in the marketplace for a few years now, they will have decided that they can use this variety as a food bean, as a high protein yellow hilum, and you'll be able to market it. But I do always recommend, before you plant a food type soybean like this, please make sure that you know where you're going to market it. And with that, Jake, did I miss anything on that variety?
No, I will just say that last bullet point there that you're reading, 41% protein, that is an offshoot. This one regularly comes in at 42 and higher. In 2023, protein testing that we did on our soybeans were down across the board, not just one or two, but all of them, likely due to the exceptional drought that we were under in most of our testing area. So, grain of salt on that last bullet point there. This one does hit 42% protein or higher pretty regularly.
Oh, one other thing to be aware of on this soybean and a few other soybeans that we sell conventionally. This is a variety that we sell by the 110,000 seed unit rather than the 140,000 seed unit. And if you're trying to figure out which is which, you can look in that performance table that's right there below on pages 24 and 25. And there's a column there that tells you how the soybean is sold, whether it's in a 140,000 seed unit or 110,000 seed unit. The reason we sell it in a 110,000 seed unit is because it's larger seeded, and we literally cannot get, in most years, we cannot get 140,000 seeds in a bag.
All right, moving on to the next one here, the 2418 at a 2.4. This is another one of our top sellers, similar to the 2155. This one is more true to its maturity at a 2.4. But another bean that we've seen tremendous amount of success with from eastern Nebraska all the way out into Ohio, not just on farms and trials, on farms with dealers. This has just been a fantastic performing soybean year after year. This is the 2.4 that, to me, I'm comparing all other 2.4 beans or 2.5 beans too. This one's been a tough one to beat. At medium bushy plant, excellent standability going into the fall. You're picking up that 1K gene for great Phytophthora protection. Other diseases haven't really touched it either, like white mold. So again, this is one, it's been successful for a reason. The defense, yield, it just performs year after year.
Thanks, Jake. I will grab the next bean, which is the last one we're going to talk about in the conventional non-GMO soybean lineup. And this is Iowa 3054 RA12, just kind of a mouthful. So this is, again, is another bean that does not fit the Viking nomenclature because we left the Iowa state number on it. So it's a little bit hard to tell what the maturity is. We call it about a 2.8. I've heard some people call it a 2.5. I've heard other people call it a 3.0, but it's somewhere, we believe, right around a 2.8 for maturity. It is a true food type soybean with very high protein, regularly getting over 44%, and it's widely used in the food industry. It's larger seeded. It doesn't carry a lot of disease resistance, although it does have stacked aphid tolerance, which is a unique feature. Not very many soybeans have two modes of action against soybean aphids, and this one does. It stands a little better than its younger sister, Iowa 2188, or Viking 2188, which is the old Iowa 2012 RA12, if I'm saying that right. In any regards, this one stands a little bit better, but it doesn't have a lot of disease resistance, so we recommend keeping it off wetter ground. This is another soybean that requires a license before we deliver it to you, and we can get you a link to sign up for that license. And it's another soybean that we sell in a 110,000 seed unit rather than the 140,000 seed unit. Jake, did I miss anything on this?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one.
All right. So that'll conclude what we're going to talk about for Viking conventional non-GMO soybeans. We're just going to hit on a couple of other things. The first one, if Jake turns the page, is we do have seed treatments available for Viking soybeans. We have Viking Soy Pack, which is just a fungicide-only treatment. For those of you that are planting early into cold, wet ground and want the protection of a fungicide, that's the Viking Soy Pack. And then we also carry a complete soy pack, and has insecticide, fungicide, and also a microbial strain and an inoculant. So you get the whole complete thing. And if you want pricing on that and more details, you can get it out of the pricing is not in our catalog, but all of the ordering details are there in the catalog. And if you have questions, you're welcome to call us. Those are custom treatments and they're non-returnable. Once you order and pay for the seed belongs to you. The next page, page 27, I just want to talk briefly about the GMO content of our non-GMO soybeans and corn. And we have two primary labels that we use for our non-GMO corn. We have an ultra pure label, which is we guarantee to be 99.9% free of GMOs. And so if the seed you're receiving has that label, you can be sure that there's essentially no GMOs in it. We do have a few soybeans that are labeled with that ultra pure label. They tend to be the food varieties. The rest of our soybeans are all going to meet the pure designation, although in fact they're going to be much more pure than that. We will not sell soybean seed if it's not at least 99.5% free of GMOs. And I'll talk about this again in the corn section, but I'm just gonna repeat it here. For corn, we use these same two standards, the ultra pure and the pure. But if the Viking non-GMO corn that you buy from us is not labeled with one of these two labels, we do not guarantee the purity of that seed corn. So I'm going to repeat that. Unless it carries one of these two designations, the ultra pure designation or the pure designation, the seed corn that you buy from us will have no purity guarantee, and it could be as much as 8% GMO. We're not testing it. And that's because there aren't that many markets for non-GMO corn. We do have a special offer on Viking non-GMO corn where we offer, I think, 7 hybrids that you can pre-order with a very tight non-GMO guarantee, but we don't offer that on every hybrid. And that's probably enough about that for now. I'll talk about that a little more when we get to the corn section. And with that, I guess, Jake, unless you have anything to add, that concludes the Viking Non-GMO soybean section. And if you'd like to hear us talk about the earlier soybeans, you can click on one of the other links in our YouTube channel. And thanks again for joining us today. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to your dealer, your RSM, or give us a call. Thanks very much.